Hey, Baba Booey. Oh, jeez. Let's swap over to... let's swap over to D&D. Oh, I need the Spotify. It's interesting. Oh. There we go. Need to get some audio capture device. Audio input should do it. This is on the aux. Not capturing anything. Remove. Oh. There we go. Oh. Okay. Let's get up what we want to get up. And we can get to work. Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Fiddling with controls in real time. That doesn't look like it. No. There we go. Okay. I can throw this over here and zoom on in. Okay. So what do I need to do today? I don't actually know. I think... Oh. It's really a mess. Really is a mess. I think we're just kind of stuck on the map section here. Okay. So, I don't like how the webcam's positioned. It's kind of cutting off into the page. That's a little better. Yeah, I think that's the best as it's gonna be. Unless I bring the size down to like a square. So the map. Each player's gonna go through, draw a region of the map. I gotta turn this music down. It's actually still too loud. Okay, each person's gonna go through, draw a region on the map. So we're gonna rotate around, we're gonna draw a region on the map. We're each gonna draw, I think we're saying it's like each player is going to end up drawing 2 regions. Regions should end up being about the same size. Discretion to go around at the end and break up regions. And then afterwards, the GM's gonna have the Oh, discretion to break up regions, and after that, I have no idea. I need more coffee. June's gonna have the discretion to break up the regions, so talking about like the map, everyone's gonna want to, you're building the map out together as a table, so I don't know. I'm gonna break up the regions into things. I'm gonna put it, so you're gonna end up with like 2 times like the amount of like people playing. So i.e. like a DM and two players would end up with 6 starting regions. Okay. Like, next, everyone is going to go through and we're gonna go through and like actually populate the map. What is going on with this music? I'm just looking for chill tunes. Getting a little too spicy for me right now. We're gonna actually go through and populate the map. So the question is like, what is the order of how we populate the map? So we have a few different things to actually fill the map up that we're gonna play with. We have, what's it called? We have frets, we have hooks, and we have bases. Bases, I still don't necessarily like that word, but we have a few different things to actually fill up the map. I need coffee. I'm gonna grab my coffee. Okay, there we go. Now I have coffee. So we have threats, like, you know, that are aggressive slash disruptive. forces that are working against the players. We have hooks, which are opportunities / mysteries. Things that can provide answers to the players' questions or help them do something. And then we have what's called bases, which are establishments, strongholds, cities. Like a seat of influence within the region for a faction. Now, Jamboard. There's a few different ways to do this. Now let's say we have a game of 2 people. Okay. We have a game of 2 people, we have 4 regions. We have our bases, we have our threats, and we have our hooks, right? So like, what do we do? Something tells me that we should, if we put down bases first, like, the bases will be arbitrary. So I think there needs to be, if we put down threats first, people will place their bases to avoid the threats and place their bases as close. And if threats and hooks go before bases, people will place their bases to avoid threats and place their bases next to hooks. So, and here's also the thing, like, if everyone's placing one and we're playing like a 3-person game, I think the rule is like there can only be, like, was I starting off, there can only be one like hook or threat per region. One hook, threat, or base per region. So I think we want it to go, base, threat, hook. Unless we just don't give an order. So like, either we have a choice, and I don't know which one is better at this point. Either like there's a set order of placing threats, hooks, and bases, or there's no order, but you, or the player chooses the order they place them in. That might be better. It gives more control. It gives more control to what's going on. So what's the thought? What's the benefit of doing each? I don't really know. I don't really know what's the benefit of doing each outside of, or what's the, why would you restrict the player's freedom to choose? I don't know. I don't think there's a reason. Let people make what they want. There's also like the idea of this is kind of a divergence, but like what details you actually need to supply, you know, like what makes a base a threat or a region. Like, do you just plop it down and then it exists, or is there another step that you need to do? I don't know. I don't really know. I'm kind of blue screening in the brain. I don't think this matters too much. I think we can always come back. I can always come back to this, but something has to be different at a point. What am I saying? What am I doing? I have no idea. Let's get into threats. So we know there's going to be like an order. We're going to place, you know, we're going to end up placing, you know, B1, B2, fret 1, fret 2, hook 1, hook 2, you know. That's okay. That's like kind of a chill distribution. The question is like, what I want to, okay, so this is what it looks like with like 2 people. This is what it looks like with 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like with 30 people. So what happens if we just have a lot of people? Like what happens if, you know, we have 1, 2, like we have like a regular sized party, which is going to be like 5, is like on average the size of a party. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's gonna be 5 players, 1 GM, so 6 times 2, so 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's get real wacky. 10, 11, 12. That's a wild continent. So let's just go through and just go like, you know, base, 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 5th base, hook, hook. You know, with no major rhyme or reason. Hook, hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fret, 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 fret. Like, how busy is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not the most busy map. Like, there's something going on pretty much everywhere. But it's not the worst thing in the world, right? Like, it could be worse. There's a set order of threats, hooks, bases, or the players chooses the order that you place them in. Okay. Bum 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 bum. Like, it's kind of visually crowded, but we have no idea how it actually plays out. So I'm getting myself hung up on specifics when what we really need to do is actually know how the game plays. Like, I've been getting myself stuck in my own head on this for a while now. There's a set order of placing. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. All we need should just define our threats. So threats are forces that work against the players. Although, like, they are detrimental, but like they aren't like crazy. They have the ability to grow to become something like really bad if not addressed. So what does that mean? What does that mean? So the questions are like how do you define a threat? How do you address a threat? How long till a threat gets out of hand? What happens when a threat gets out of hand? And I think what's it called? The idea here was that we would steal from we would steal from from like Dungeon World and Blades in the Dark, because I think they had a real they did a good job on like they have a good framework of actually like addressing this problem, and especially like if you can pull from something that people are already familiar with, then that's fine. These are... I haven't been able to find... like a good... You guys can't even see what I'm doing, but I'm just looking for a file. Okay, this will work. This should work. This is looking for, yeah, this should work. This is an older version of Dungeon World. I kind of want to use screen capture instead of window capture, because then I can actually flip between things. There we go. Okay. Let's put that underneath the camera. Okay. So what I want to use is, what's it called? I want to use fronts from Dungeon World as the basis for threats for our game. How these guys work, it's basically kind of like a very basic setup of like defining like a danger or like something that's going to happen in the world. And this was kind of, I don't necessarily know where Dungeon World got this idea, whether it was the progenitor or whether they were inspired by a different game. But anyway, like a lot of games got inspired by this idea of fronts from Dungeon World. So it's a really good like design touchstone that works into the framework of what we're doing. So how Dungeon World defines a front, which is the you got the front, you have the dangers, you have the impending doom, you have the grim portents, and then you have what's at stake, and then the general cast. What we probably care about is the impending doom, and then the grim portents and the dangers. So also we care about moves. So Grim Portents we don't really care about. They're kind of at like a higher level than what we actually care about. What we do care about is the impending doom. So like what will happen if the front is left unchecked. And then the fact that the Grim Portents are like a counter to actually until something that happens. So like for us, what we want is like a threat like a threat has a name, has an impending doom, has like a clock / like a number of stages until the impending doom happens, and it has a number of moves that it can do when the which happen when the clock advances. So for kind of ease of things, I think we're just gonna take one of these examples from Dungeon World and then kind of convert it to what we need. So, you know, we kind of have a baseline understanding. So I think there's like the gate is an example one. Where is this? Here we go. So yeah, we have like our gate. So we're just gonna take kind of like, what's it called? So like our threat is opening of the white gate. Our impending doom is impending doom, what's it called? The gate. The gate opens, like starting a process to gate opens, heralding the end of the world. This is kind of like maybe a bit like crazier than like we would actually want for like the beginning of a thing, of like an opening threat to like a campaign. And then you have like the clock size. The clock size, or maybe like the doom clock. The doom clocker timer. So like how many ticks it will take till something happens. Which we'll say 3. And then like, what's it called? Then like threat moves. Fret moves. Granted, I feel like the fret moves would be tied to what it would be informed on what like Dungeon World calls like the cast for a front. But I don't think we need to define a cast. I think we only need to define a cast for the front. I think we only need to I only wanted to find that cast as needed. I don't want to like have to preemptively define the cast. So what does that mean? It means something. It means something will happen at some point. So like, what's like details? And these are like as needed, or as they arise. So I guess what's it called? I'm going to add a section here that's like defining characters and details, and just say like we do this as needed. I'm just gonna leave it blank, and we can think about it more some other time. But I think like you need like a number of, I think the moves are important because it gives the GM an idea of like what might happen, you know? So I think like each of these probably needs like 5 different moves they can do. So to like open a gate, like what do you need? The thing is, okay, so this is like, the question is like, okay, like what's the difference between the moves and the Grimportents? Because the Grimportents go chronologically as steps. The frets are just kind of, the moves are just kind of broader. Like, the moves are just like attack someone, influence a body of control, establish a new rule, okay, claim territory resources, negotiate a deal, sure. Like these are just kind of general moves, versus these are just kind of the chronological steps that lead to the thing actually happening. But I don't think we want to concern ourselves with that for now. But I think... What's up? Yellow. What's up, Cree? How's it hanging, my dude? But I think this is like a good framework of like for kind of establishing like what we want in terms of like what a threat is and like what it does. So like I think we could probably like take this framework as like a first pass and, you know, kind of extrapolate it towards, you know, like when we actually need to build a threat. Create. Making your own homebrew D&D campaign. That's always hype, man. No, yeah. I am working on things. This is currently a mess. But we're working through it, making progress. No, what's it called? Making things is fun. And sometimes you gotta kick yourself in the butt to actually do it. And that's what I'm doing today. But this is the currently called the Barony Project, which is kind of a crappy title. Extremely fun. Never played D&D. Oh, I'm so happy for you. That is the best feeling. Never played before, and you're walking out to try and make a campaign yourself. Kudos to you, my dude, because it is a daunting task, especially if you're the one trying to get things together. Like most people, there's a lot of people that, you know, if given the opportunity, want to play, but, you know, it's easier just to kind of accept an invitation. Brain is limitless. I mean, hey, like, people all have their own ways of going about things. So, I mean, even like I'm sure your own experiences are just another thing that's gonna inform and make whatever you're creating even that more individual and special, because that is one of the blessings of making stuff yourself, is that you can put your own touch that no matter how good like anyone else's, you know, thing is, it's gonna be yours, and it's gonna have the touch of, you know, everything, you know, that you love and that you want to put into practice. What's funny, my dude? Tell me a joke. Make me laugh. I'm always in the mood for a funny. But this is... what's it called? Hooks are... gonna be an... hook is gonna be an opportunity. I think we're just gonna take the definition that we kind of pseudo-defined up here. Yeah. So hooks are opportunities, or mysteries. We can provide answers to players' questions, or, you know, present a new option/goal for them to pursue. Well, what's it called? So, while threats are basically stuff that works against the players and kind of are problems that they need to address, hooks are opportunities or things to kind of draw the player's attention. You know, in struggling for an example. In Star Wars, the Death Star is a threat, where the building of the Death Star is a threat. But finding Luke or finding Obi-Wan is a hook. So the person asks him are basically order skills, and he basically, in order, scares the shit out of the most popular Shadow in my world, and a bodyguard kills 2 normal crabs and a giant crab, in which the giant crab was wielding a dagger and basically made everyone in a mostly depressed town happy after passing out from a cocktail. That's fun. That's a good bit of joy. And what's it called? You were playing with this guy just one-on-one, just testing things out. That's fun. One-on-one sessions are always a treat. Especially if they're with, they're with a friend. Where you get to get in some, you know, just more personal shenanigans, I suppose. But that's cool. And next week with 2 level 1 players, yeah, I'm sure and I'm sure. If you're running basically the same, like the same adventure, yeah, if you're running like the same adventure or like the same, you know, beginning, then you'll be surprised about how differently it'll play out, because things never play out the same. They never play out the same way twice, no matter like what your expectations are. They never play out the same way once, no matter what your expectations are, and that's the beauty. That's the juice. Everything's fresh except the traditional D&D stuff. It's always great, and I'm glad you're actually getting your hands dirty and actually playing, because it can be such a creative trap to just spend an infinite amount of time trying to build everything, but you're never going to you are never going to be finished with that mentality. You just have to start playing. Improv is hard, and you know, some people it comes more naturally to others. Great, but a large part of it is just experience, and also just having good references for the stuff that you actually need. Yeah, stuff like that happens all the time. People trying to talk to a person that doesn't exist before that moment. People going to a place that didn't exist before that moment, or you only mentioned in passing, but don't actually have presented. That shit happens all the time, and that's really the beauty of it, especially like in those moments where you are struggling to pull the pieces together and actually make something work. That's the rub, especially for me. I love that stuff. That stuff is such a blessing. And that's part of like what this project is. Like, this project is making a tabletop RPG that can sit in the background and basically allow the players to, instead of playing characters, just play the different factions or the different kingdoms in the world. So, you know, instead of, you know, a DM like improving an entire world and what's going on, you could have a different party basically playing like the factions and kingdoms of the world, and, you know, get to have that feeling of like a living, breathing universe with, you know, real stuff happening around, you know, maybe like a regular like D&D party that you're actually running. But it is a task. But your DM's guide is getting delivered today. I'm happy about that. There's a lot of great stuff in there to pour through, especially in terms of reference material. New. Okay, so a hook. I don't think we need like I think I should just do the same thing. Like, how do we define a hook? Define a hook. I think maybe a good way of doing this is just, what is a hook, D&D? Because I think there are people who that are smarter than me that have probably written about this before. There we go. Okay. This is a Sly Flourish article. This man is incredibly actually smart about the game. This guy is really this website, speaking of references, slyflourish.com, beautiful site full of so much great reading material. So this one is interview of Dean. This is okay. It's based off an interview of Chris Perkins, which is going to be pretty good. Potential motivations. So had a Twitter discussion. Potential motivations. There's your DM's guide right there. Chapter 3, you know, talks about this stuff and gives you tables full of adventure hooks. So I guess you have that to look forward to. But so they're defaulting an adventure hook by a bunch of different motivations. Chris Perkins is a fun guy. He's they both have a different way. I know Chris is very much into, from what I understand, he's very much into history, and he's very much into just straight pulling on characters like heartstrings and like making them feel pressured to do things. I honestly think in some ways he's a bit of an eviler DM than Matt is. Looking through here. Okay, so these are just models. So those are character-driven hooks. Stick to traditions, sure. Tradition's good. I mean, tradition's a good backbone, but granted, I'm sure you'll find your own way of doing things as time goes on. Everyone eventually, you know, figures out what works for them and what their own style is, and, you know, you're a product of your experiences. So just as everyone's experiences, everyone is an individual, you know, I'm sure with time your style will be, you know, we'll have bits and pieces from different stuff you've read or watched, but I'm sure it'll be very much your own. So how do we define a hook? I think we just need like a hook, like it doesn't need to be great. You don't need a lot for a hook. I think you just need from my experience, you don't need luck. Hook just needs to be cool. And that's kind of a weird way of saying it, but like, you don't need a crazy amount to actually pull a player's attention. You just need like, Hook needs to be cool and like give the player a vague idea of what is actually happening. And I think, considering this is like, this part of the process is the players collaboratively creating like the map that they're going to play in together, like, I think like for both, like allowing the players to like answer a question slash have make the decision about what is happening to a degree happening, because and I don't want to delete that, I just want to copy it. I think it's like also down here, like allowing the players to actually like, when the players are putting hooks down on the map, letting them letting them be able to define something about the hook to make it, you know, individual. Because like in that space of like creative collaboration, you know, cool stuff usually comes up, and especially if like the player is the one who created the hook, they're going to be more incentivized to go for the hook because they have you know, they have a connection to it because they had a part in what actually happened. So I think that's fine as just like a baseline. And I think it's like what we need is like examples of hook rewards. So like some things we can give as like rewards for hooks. We can give a surplus. Give information slash intel. Give an artifact slash like magical item. I don't know, like it has to be like worth it, and it has to like also kind of help tie into things. But the thing is, we can't be super open-ended with, we can be open-ended in some things in this system, but we can't leave everything open-ended, because what I really want is things to not become like crazy. Like I want this, like the preparation and the actual effort needed on this scale of things to not be as big as running like a full campaign. You can make it that way if you want, but this is like meant to be lower prep, lower effort, so it can sit in the background and also be like a tool that you can, you know, if you have like friends who live in different places and, you know, you can't actually get in person, and they don't have time to actually commit to like a full like D&D or RPG campaign, you can hand them this and be like, hey, like we can play this for like group text or Discord or email, and this only like requires you to like at minimum invest like, you know, like 15 minutes at a time, and outside of that, like, you're good to go, you know. But it should be like a lighter system that you can use and give to other people. Surplus information, intel, artifact, tradition, artifact, magical item. What's the thought? What, like money, coin, the opportunity to like build a wonder / like large scale project, you know, in like the game like Civilization, you know, you have the opportunity to like build like, you know, like the pyramids or the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. That's like something that's super like individual and gives you like a special bonus, like that type of stuff. What's poppin'? What's up, Christian? Are you even in the apartment? Where are you? Are you in class right now? I am working on a RPG project. So I thought if I don't want to do it, then I might as well turn on stream and work on it. Maybe I'm in class. Maybe I'm in the sewers. Maybe I'm behind you. Could be outside your room. That is an option you could be. But I think I heard you walk out the door earlier. Could it be John, though? Or maybe you're just inside the apartment and you just hear me talking to myself, so you decided to see what the fuck was going on. That's probably a more likely option. Trying to get some money for streaming. No, I don't really care about money. Money does not matter. It's more in terms of the line that if I'm sitting here with a stream on, I'm at least forced to work on things. Supporting my e-boy endeavors. Yeah. For my e-boy endeavors. Oh. I don't have the... I've got, what's it called? I've got like the e-boy painted nails right now. I don't got the, you know, e-font, moody boy looks at all. Don't got no cat ears or OnlyFans. I ain't shaking my ass for subs. Examples of hooker words. Okay, I don't think... I bet the people have never an e-boy tabletop BF. Give the people what they want. I don't know about that. I'm sure there are plenty of hot tabletop e-boys within the community. How do we define a hook? I think this is fine. I think this is fine. I think how we're setting up the map is okay. So I don't think... I think this is good. I don't think we're gonna. I think we're not gonna have a better answer here until like later down the line. So I think what I want to do is, I think what I want to do right now is like actually translate this into actual like rule speak, because it's fine if it's in a document, but we need to kind of translate things into stuff. Don't tempt me to look at Ding T. Bro, there's nobody even at Ding T. I can see them from my window, from my perch upon upon the highest peaks. Files not exist or you do not have permission. Bruh. Where is this document? Open it up. You're at Ding T? No shot you're at Ding T. No shot you would ever be at Ding T. No shot. I just wouldn't respect you anymore if you were at Ding T. Even if you're at Ding T, I can't see anything through their window. It is impossible to see what's going on at Ding T. Okay. I was experimenting with like having this background, but I'm not really a fan of it right now. So the playbooks, the map. Okay. You want some Korea House later. Let me check. Did you get Taco Bell yesterday? And then you're just really you just really got that Korea House craving going on. Goosing a bit for that Korea House. Let me check my budget because I have to try and stay within. I have to stay within what I can afford with money, and I spent a lot of money this past weekend going to New York and stuff. So let me check my budget. If I have room in the budget, then sure. You got that Taco Bell. I saw it in the trash. I saw the Taco Bell cup within the recyclable. Yeah, no shot you're at Ding T. No shot. Hard cap. So let's talk about okay. Why is the wording so big? Hello? That's wild. Well, I was your blind. Well, I didn't see you, so you weren't. It's not my fault if you don't stand out from a crowd. It's not my fault if you're not memorable, Christian. That no one recognizes you. Nobody sees what you're doing. Frets. Yeah. Frets are... I think we're just going to copy and paste our definition of what a fret is. Buddy, my name is on my jacket. Who are you? Bro, I don't even know who you are, dude. Some random guy in chat. SMH. Yo, there's some loser in my chat, dude. Who are you?
There's such a delay.
Who are you?
There's like a 30-second delay.
That's default.
That's gross.
That's the default of Twitch.
It's so bad.
By default, there's a 30-second delay. Who are you again? Bad if not dressed. Can I zoom in? That'd be nice. Frets have... Frets have a few components. So frets have a few components. They have their few components. An impending doom. Impending doom. A doom clock, and a number of moves. So when each whenever a player fails at a roll, the GM can make one of a frets can perform one of the frets moves as a response. Like all and who are you? Who am I? And tick the and what's it called, and increase the doom clock by 1. Let's go look at what would be a good reference, which is the Blades in the Dark SRD. I want to go look at, what is this? Progress clocks. I want to look at this. Progress clock, circle divided into segments. We're going to use this as our reference point. When you create a clock, make it about the obstacle, not the method. Clocks for an infiltration should be interior patrols, the tower, not sneak past the guards or climb the tower. Complex enemy threats can be broken down into several layers, each with its own progress clock. Danger clocks, here we go. Can use a clock to represent progressive danger. Suspicion growing during a seduction, the proximity of pursuers in a chase, or the alert level of guards. In this case, when a complication occurs, the DM ticks 1, 2, or 3 segments on the clock, depending on the consequence level. When the clock is full, the danger comes to fruition. Okay. So here's the question. It's like whether for threats, whether we are counting them down till our doom happens, or whether we're counting them up. I think we're counting them down is probably the easier thing to do. And also probably makes more sense. So like when the doom clock hits 0, then the impending doom happens. I hate when it does this. Then the impending doom happens. Which, okay, makes sense. And impending doom, like an impending doom, I think, what's it called? We haven't talked about how you actually resolve the threat. Threat. A player must make a successful move against the front, or against the threat. Like, here's the, like, okay, what we need to check is, what we need to look at is, like, how do you actually resolve a threat? That's something, like, really important that we need to actually understand. So if I jump down, where am I going? I'm going somewhere in this document. Threats. Right. So the threat is a problem. It's something bad that is building up to happen. So like, how do you address a threat? The most straightforward answer is, like, the player makes a roll against the threat, basically. Like, the player targets the threat with an action. On a success, the threat is, the threat is resolved. Whether how effective the action is against the threat depends on how good the roll is. So let's say I am playing a kingdom, and there's the threat against me is there is a growing bandit faction. I would like to resolve this. How do you want to resolve it? I want to infiltrate the faction of bandits and tear them apart from the inside. Okay. You would roll like a roll to do that, and based on how well that roll is, depends on whether the threat is resolved. On a fail, it's probably likely that the doom clock is going to tick down and the threat is going to make a move against you. Makes sense. To resolve first, a player must make a successful move against the target. Whether the move resolves the threat or not depends on how well the player rolls. Rolls against the threat. Makes sense. Or how well the player rolls. Cool. Makes sense. How long does it take for a threat to get out of hands? How a threat gets out of hand when its doom clock ticks down to 0. Let's just make arbitrary amounts. A small threat has a doom clock of, I don't know, let's just use blades as a reference. A small threat is a clock of 4, a medium threat is a clock of 6, a large threat is a clock of 8. Cool. That makes sense. That lines up. We might need to change those values later, but makes sense. Hooks. Sure. What's it called? I guess we should probably say, what happens when an impending doom happens. We've gone back to the fancy text. We'll just say, when an impending doom happens, like, let's just be broad. Things resolve to the detriment of the players as established by fiction. Like, whatever. Like, if it was, this may mean, like dealing harm against a, like, faction's base, like creating a need, taking resources, you know, away from a player, like, or starting a new threat. Makes sense. It depends on the situation. So, bro, I got all the boys fucking watching me. I got the fucking Christian tech, I've got the building my own Exodia, I got the Christian tech, I've got the John tech, and I've got the possible Tyler Hagen tech. Fucking building my own Exodia of men. So, taking resources away or starting a new threat makes sense. A hook. I don't think we have to say too much about a hook. Did we answer all the questions we need to answer? What happens when a threat gets out of hand? We defined this. How do we define a hook? We copy and paste what we said before. A hook is an opportunity. A hook is an opportunity or opportunity. I don't think that's right, but it doesn't matter. Or mystery. The player is a opportunity a player can pursue. They serve as potential goals or answers to a player's problem. A hook is starts out as broad, but like can be like explored, explored by a player. Like usually a hook, you know, will take a few steps to... Okay, I'm kind of like spitting onto the page, And that's not what the InDesign document is for. The InDesign document is meant for like actual proper writing. This kind of word vomit is what the Google Doc is meant for. So I'm also gonna piss, so I'll be right back. I think my music disappeared. I'm gonna turn that back on. All right, I did it. I pissed. Oh. So a hook takes these two steps. Oh, like, okay, how do we define a hook? How do we resolve a hook? What are the rewards you can get for a hook? So these serve as potential starts off broad but can be explored by a player, but becomes more defined as a player explores it. Hooks appear, can appear on the map by in response to a event or a player's explored or a player's or like when a player takes a explore the wilds, you know, explore the wilds, uncover secrets, or glimpse beyond action. You know, all these things are stuff that just kind of helps you define things. just checking my phone. Monkey. Okay. How do you actually resolve a hook? A hook is resolved once. Maybe what's it called? Exploring a hook may provide hook will provide rewards. Rewards, opportunities, or unveil rewards, opportunities, or unveil new hooks on the map. This is the best response I have. A hook is an opportunity or mystery a player can pursue if they serve as potential goals or answers to a player goal. A hook starts out as broad but becomes more defined as the player explores it. Hooks can appear on the map in response to an event or when a player takes and explore the wilds, uncover secrets, or glimpse beyond action. Exploring a hook will provide rewards, opportunities, or unveil new hooks on the map. Sure. Makes sense, right? If you do the thing, it will lead you to another thing, right? That is kind of all the definition we, need. Okay. So, I've been thinking about seasons more, and I don't know if I want to keep these around. They're kind of... So the idea was basically that every amount of turns, like every 3 or 4 turns, the season would change and basically new events would happen. But I think I'm less into that now and more along the thought of basically the game is separated into sections and those sections begin and end when you actually have an in-person session. So the thought would be that basically the players would kind of run their factions, run their kingdoms, their organizations, and perform, their turns, doing their things on the world, and then eventually you would have a session. You would have like an actual session where everyone would meet up, in a call or in person, and you would kind of go through the highlights of those actions and then maybe play out, a number of scenes. So think about it like in Game of Thrones, you have all of these things happening, right? All the different factions are doing things, and the way it's presented to us in the show is we basically jump between these different scenes and zoom in on the main characters actually doing their stuff, right? So in Star Wars, like the Empire is like moving its armies across the galaxy. It's moving the Star Destroyer. It kills Alderaan at the same time that the rebels are like rallying on Yavin 4, at the same time that, you know, the smugglers are transporting goods across the galaxy and making profit. And we zoom in on a number of scenes in that period. We zoom in on Alderaan getting destroyed. We zoom in on the rebels rallying on Yavin 4. We zoom in on the Hutts making a deal with Han Solo that he has to repay his debts or something bad will happen. You know, we kind of skip around, even though like these broader strokes are happening in the narrative. So the idea would be that we would resolve the broader strokes, basically. We would play out those broader strokes, and then we would kind of get into the juice and like actually zoom in and, you know, have those like more, those like actual like RP scenes where, you know, we have like Darth Vader and Leia in like the command center, and we have like the where's the rebel base, you know, Alderaan gets blown up, whatever. We have meeting Han Solo and like him having the shootout with Guido, and then making the deal with Jabba to like forestall his debt. You know, we would play out those scenes across the narrative. Sorry, I just got a text. I was just checking. So, thinking about it in that way, like actually having seasons it locks us into this like set time period, right? Whereas like it locks in the time scale of like what a session is or what a turn is, which is good for some instances because you can kind of like the scale of things, you know, is consistent, so it's kind of easier to visualize things on that scale. But you lose a level of abstraction and flexibility. So it's a decision. It's kind of a big decision. So what do we do? How do we handle the situation? We handled the situation by making something happen. I don't know. I don't have the answer. And I'm still struggling to find the answer. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna I think for now we're just gonna do this. We're just gonna not think about it and not worry about it, and then we'll come back to it another time. Let's jump around to resources. Let's jump around to let's see. Surpluses and needs are over here. We don't really have anything else here. Let's check the the quick start document, I think I copy and pasted some things here which need to go on the thing. So the quick start document is just kind of a public document you can view, like it's published to the web, or it is published to the web. Granted, like there's not like a short thing, but this is kind of like my front running boy, and now I am stuck in the sauce. Okay, I'm out. I'm going to, I already have some stuff defined here, so I'm going to pull that over. Okay. So that fills in the what is this. I have to like fix thing. I'm still debating between. I still have no idea about the name. I have the name I want to do, but it's too close to what some. It's too close to a similar product, which sucks. So I'm going to. I'm lost in the sauce. Georgia, 14. I want like that 14-point gap here. The GM, the players, this is kind of like just what their roles are. So like we're probably gonna have to edit this section. I can't just type and change font, which is kind of bleh. Oh, I am lost in the sauce. Okay. Oh? I think it worked. Okay, there we go. It just didn't do it in the correct font, which is whatever. We're gonna zoom out. Whoa. And change the font over to back over to this. So the game master GM will eventually find a better name for GM than GM. Plays the Arbiter War. They play the factions and fronts outside the players' control and help build a living world around the players. They inject drama and uncertainty and work with the players to tell a story. Yep, that's just kind of some basic, you know, what is an RPG mumbo jumbo. The GM doesn't make moves, but instead has reactions. They are, these are specific ways to guide the story towards, what's it called? Towards, like, project bearings, themes, and create a fun experience. The GM never rolls dice, instead uses reactions in response to the player's actions. When the players roll a 6 or below, when everyone looks to them to say what happens next, or when the players do something with already established consequences, Each chain reaction is a way of raising the stakes, shaking up the situation, providing adversity. Check out the GM section for more details. Okay, all of that is fine. You know, it works. Scale of play. Scale of play. So I'd looking at. I'd only heard about this recently, but it's a really good touchstone. So there is a game called Microscope. So what Microscope is? Microscope is a very, very broad RPG. Microscope is a crazy broad RPG that focuses on like building a large scale history of a world. So let me get you an example here, like one of the layouts. So like here is like a large scale like example. So like you have like, you know, you have these large scale, you have these periods, which are, I don't know how I highlighted these, but I would like it to not be that way. Okay. You have these large scale periods, which are just kind of large periods of time, Century of Winter, a War of the Gods, and you have like events under those. And you have kind of like large scale themes, but basically it's a way of talking about and like playing a collaborative story over a extremely large scale period. And one of the core like themes of Microscope is your ability to zoom in and zoom out. And kind of reading it, we see that, what's it called? The World of Legacy SRD, which is kind of what the framework that we're basing this game off of, is has some similar themes. So like it talks about, like here we talk about like changing of scale, like zooming in to the story to see a group of people, zooming out to see the broader reaches, and like this is what the more research I do, the more kind of digging I do, the more I kind of start thinking that this is very important. It makes the difference between whether you're just playing a war game at a large scale, or you're actually playing a role-playing game. Because actually zooming in provides the opportunity to be in the room with those characters, to zoom in on the moments and like the feelings of history. And that's a large part of it, like those dramatic beats of, you know, what happens across an extended period of time. So we're gonna try and kind of extrapolate and talk about this, like in our scale of play. But not right now. I don't know. It's a hard section to tackle. So I don't know how much I feel about tackling it right now. let's make a choice, and let's just try to get the other stuff done. We can like stuff for like the core rules we can use. So this is the conversation, this is the GM's rule. I think we took some of this from, I think we can, participate takes place in larger scale than instead. He plays a ruling faction, although we are basically playing a high level war game. We keep things abstract, the camera focus on large scale events. I think for now, actually, I don't want to define this in the document, because defining this in the document it cements it. So we are going to take our move section first, and we're gonna get that in. Because it's just a copy paste. Easy done it. It is just a copy paste. Okay. When you move the knight, you'll be told to roll plus stat. That means you have 2 6-sided. The formatting here is a mess, which we'll fix given time. So those are the two on a 12 or above. This is an added thing that we're stealing from. Critting is something we're stealing from a different system. We're stealing from Monster of the Week, because I think critting on skills is fun. A 12 or above is a critical success. You succeed with you exceed at such magnitude, you gain an additional advantage. Okay, done. There we go. That section is done. So this is the map. So that is moves. Okay. I think we should also get into that. Get into something. I don't know. I don't know what we should get into. We should get into... Okay. So here we would potentially define all of our moves, but this is just the broad point. Okay. I'm getting stuck in my own brain. So what should I do? What I should do is just keep moving forward. And I'm gonna jump over to the family rules, which is kind of our basis for playbooks. Mm. Okay. I don't know. I'm kind of lost in the sauce right now. I think, what's it called? I think we've been streaming for 2 hours, and we've gotten a good chunk, and my brain is kind of getting scattered and fried. So I think I'm gonna jump off, and thanks for the homies for sticking around. I doubt there's anyone, new here. That's a weird thing to say, new here. But if you are, I guess drop a follow. I would like to maybe start doing more of this stuff because it is just a good way of just collaborating and talking to people. So, thanks for sticking around, homies, and I'll see people